Brady Cook QB1, Steve Wilks hopefully looking for a job at the end of the season, and the Jets have a new starting quarterback and probably a QB2 in 2026. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, hope everyone's having a great day. Wanted to pop on and just talk a few things with everyone, namely, 4 games left in the season, what the Jets should do the remainder of the season in these last 4 games. Um, some coaching staff stuff, specifically Steve Wilks, and expound a little bit on the 2026 quarterback in the draft in particular. And I think the argument between the tankers and the non-tankers, which is an interesting one that I've been heavily involved in a lot. And it's an interesting position for me because just so we know, I'm on the tank side, and I've actually never been on a tank side before in my entire Jets fandom. So it's a new place for me to be. But anyway, let's start with, the last 4 games of the season. We're Jets are 3-10, currently sitting seventh in draft. Um, Tyrod, we don't know the extent of his injury. Let's assume he has a groin problem, and then Justin Fields' knee issue. What do you do? So it'll be interesting to see if the Jets bring any quarterbacks in to work out this week. Not like Indy, where they just signed 44-year-old Philip Rivers after 5 years of not playing. But the Jets probably need another quarterback. Um, I think Adrian Martinez is probably available. I think so. He don't be surprised maybe if they sign him because the likelihood is um, I would be really, really surprised based on what Aaron Glenn said at his press conference yesterday, because he was given the opportunity, right? Glenn was given the opportunity at the presser yesterday to basically say if Justin Fields is healthy, he would play over Brady Cook. Um, because someone said, is it just health that's going to make the decision? And he said, it's going to be the quarterback gives us the best chance to win. So he really punted on answering. Now, that's just maybe Glenn being Glenn, but I really think, if I'm being honest, I think Glenn, I'm going to do a little psychology and psychoanalysis here. Aaron Glenn has been the biggest Justin Fields defender um, the entirety of his career as a New York Jet, right? When they signed him, he talked about letting him be quarterback. He talked about, all of his intangibles and the things that he was excited about bringing him in here. They really played it up. And, even during training camp and preseason when there were times where the writers were criticizing how he looked in practice, his inaccuracy, Glenn constantly defended Fields. Season began, same thing. And so I really believe, you know, when it came down to the time where where Glenn placed Fields's reaction to that, have to believe really rubbed Glenn the wrong way. You have to, it's hard not to see something there. When you have your head coach essentially taking bullets for you the entirety of the season, you are rightfully benched because you have played poorly. Multiple under 100-yard passing games as the starting quarterback in an NFL game in 2025 is almost impossible. Fields did it multiple times this year. So his benching was completely valid and arguably could have been done much sooner. When word gets out that Fields refuses to be a part of any special package with, coming in as a change of pace quarterback, when he refused to take questions that first week, and I know a lot of people are looking at that going, well, he was upset. So listen, he's getting paid 30 million guaranteed. He should be taking questions and he should be answering them like a man. That's the reality of it. It's the job, right? I mean, no one feels bad for you. So I think that, the way responded and, now he's got this injury on his knee. it would be shocking to me that Aaron Glenn would turn to him now. It really would. So let's just say he's out. I mean, how do you start Tyrod? I just don't see it. So, not that Brady Cook is going to be an answer here, because he's not. Brady Cook is not the answer in any way. But what you really need to do is evaluate your roster, right? Like I've said this a few weeks back. Like the rest of the season is whether you're a tank or non-tanker. Like you could say, well, I'm all four wins right now. That's fine. We can debate that. And maybe in a future, pod, I'll have someone on to either debate me or maybe I'll be a referee and let two people debate. That might be fun. But I'll ask questions and let them debate the answers. But whether you are pro or anti-tank, right now this is all about player evaluation, coaching staff evaluation, and the reality is, AD Mitchell has flashed and then he's been bad. Mechie has flashed and then he's been bad. Mason Taylor has been pretty consistent through the year. I think he's a good tight end. I don't know if he's ever going to be, a next level tight end one. He's certainly not at the level of some of these other guys, who are, similarly young like him. But he's really young. But, you know, right now you need to evaluate talent. And so Brady Cook, who's an undrafted free agent, rookie free agent, who played in the SEC, looks like he has a good arm. Like, I mean, he threw the ball with plenty of velocity, a lot of inaccuracy, a lot of drop passes, came into an impossible situation. He's not, there's a 99% chance that that man will not be the answer at quarterback. But what if Brady Cook can be a QB2? You currently, right now, if you're being honest, are looking at three new quarterbacks for 2026 for the New York Jets, which is more turnover than they had this past year when they had to turn over Rodgers, and they brought Tyrod back, and brought in Fields. You can't count on Tyrod to be your QB2 next year. Like I would love for him to be that guy or a bridge guy, but he's just too injury prone. He's going to be older next year. The injuries, like this year alone, for the limited amount of time he's played, he's had multiple injuries throughout the season. In training camp, he had a knee problem. During the season, he had a knee problem. Then he wound up having the groin issue now. I mean, the guy's played two and a change games, three games. So Tyrod's nothing more than like your real insurance QB3 emergency quarterback, veteran presence in the room, maybe helps a rookie quarterback adapt to the league, great locker room presence. So if Tyrod's willing to play that role as a QB3, I'm bringing him back in that position. Cool, that's fine. But let's play Brady Cook because you've got 4 games left. Again, I don't care about the results of the games. Some of you do. I don't. Actually, I want them to lose. So I guess I care about the results of the game, but I really care about whether the young guys look like they can be players on this roster for 26. So I want to see if Brady Cook could develop into a QB2. Could I feel good about him being my backup next year? Or even a QB3 for that matter? Or is he just a practice squad guy that's just never going to figure it out? It's too soon to tell. The guy had no, no opportunity to practice with the ones. So let's let him play. Let him practice with the ones. Give him the 4 star. I'd give him all 4 starts. Like I don't care if Tyrod gets healthy. It doesn't matter. Like just play Cook. Find out what he is. He can throw the ball. He's got a nice deep ball, it looks like. I mean, again, his accuracy is a bit of a question, but you can run your offense with him and still learn about Mitchell, still learn about Mechie. So for me, I think that you need to do that. That would be it would really be nonsensical to me to go any other way. And all the Justin Fields fans who get in my mentions every time I say something that has anything to do with Fields that's negative, they defend him. The guy has got more defenders on X than he probably has thrown touchdowns his an entire career. It's unbelievable. A man with a 5-year winning record career winning percentage that he has the number of defenders he has. And I thought Zach had like this army of defenders. Man, Fields is next level. Justin Fields is a nice guy who will need to kind of reevaluate where he is in his career, probably a backup somewhere, and that's it. But anyway, I don't want to digress too much into him. So, start Cook. That's number one. Let's see what the young guys have. Play hard, play smart, execute, all those good things. Coaching staff evaluations. I think jury's still out on Tanner Engstrand. I think it's very hard to evaluate him in its entirety when the quarterback situation is the worst in the league. I mean, all year it's been the worst of the league. Indies is now currently the worst in the league. Although watch Philip Rivers come in and win games, get them to the playoffs, and completely destroy the Jets' second first round pick this year. I mean, it's just can we not already write that story? I mean, it's the Jets. But anyway, um, so I think jury's out on him. Banjo's a home run. I mean, the special teams are incredibly good. They are the best unit by far on this team. One of the best I've ever seen. It's unbelievable how good their special teams is. So Banjo is a home run hire. In a way, Engstrand has to be tied to London, who's the QB coach, and Turner, the passing game coordinator. And if you're just evaluating how the season's gone, you could say Engstrand has some cool concepts in what he calls, and also say, yeah, but the talent development has been subpar, right? And so when you look at Fields being poor, is that on Engstrand? Is that on London? Is it on Turner? Is it a combo of all three? So you've got concerns there. Um, but on defense, I think you know your answer. Steve Wilks is terrible at his job. He is he is he is a relic from another era in football. His defensive scheming and how he matches up to today's modern offenses just do not work. He has done nothing to adapt to the personnel he has to try to make adjustments. You know, you're facing all of these offense. I mean, look what Miami just did this week. It was absolutely embarrassing. The way the Jets react to motion, it's like they don't know what's happening. They bite on every play action. It's just bad. And we can say, well, Sherwood's not been good. Quincy's been not good either. They've got deficiencies at safety, and all that's true. They are not the most talented group, but the way they refuse to adjust to the personnel they have. Because I've heard people say, well, the linebackers don't fit the scheme. Okay, then do something different. If you're undersized at linebacker for the scheme you want to run and you want more of a bully backer type of guy, you don't have that on the roster right now. You need to figure out a different way to go about it. Now, you decided to sign Sherwood, and so to me, when you give Sherwood that extension, I don't want the excuse, well, they don't fit the scheme. Well, what were you doing in the offseason when you decided to sign him if he doesn't fit the scheme that you're running? So when I look at a guy like Wilks who refuses to make adjustments, whose defense has been gashed on the ground all year long, he cannot come back in 2026. And this will be a really interesting test for Aaron Glenn because confident, like I'll tell you, like when they hired Wilkes, I was like, yeah, this is a smart decision. You should hire a guy with the experience that he has. That makes sense to me. Um, but look, bringing an experienced guy who can help your head coach made sense. But the reality is he's been bad. So the test for Glenn will be, is he stubborn enough to run it back with Wilkes because he believes that the talent is the issue and not the scheme and the game planning at the coordinator position. I have hope he benched Fields, that he, even on the people that he defends vigorously ultimately will make the right decision. So I have hope he's going to move on from Wilkes. If he doesn't, I just it's not going to be good. Um, and the last thing I want to touch on is, and I seem to touch on this almost every time I come on and do a pod. Um, I'm seeing now, with 4 weeks left in the season, you see a lot of this. You see mock drafts online. You see a lot of people's opinions, including mine, about whether you should trade up for a quarterback or not, or whether you should just punt to 2027 and sign a Mariota or try to trade for a Mac Jones or a Kyler Murray or someone like that. So, without getting into specifics on people, the talent, the players, and all that, I want to front on that discussion for another day. Um, My whole theory on everything that's related to 2026 is the Jets are currently playing at in a stadium that is maybe at best half full. The fan base is completely apathetic at this point. Um, you obviously have us diehards who just will follow this team no matter what. But think about the younger generation who's never seen this team win anything. It's 15 years since the Jets have made the playoffs. I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing, but you know, a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid's never seen the Jets with any remembrance of being a good football team. They're not going to care that much about this organization. And as you move forward, when you think about fan bases and whether they can continue to grow or support a team, you have to find reasons to give a fan base hope. And so I think it's just really hard for Aaron Glenn to sell the message that he's trying to sell going into 2026 with a another bridge option quarterback that in all likelihood will just land you in the world of 5 to 7 wins. And then now you're still searching for your quarterback in 2027. So you're going into year three of Aaron Glenn with two straight losing seasons and now a mandate that he has to win with a rookie quarterback in Glenn's third year and the rookie's first year. And the argument that, well, the 27 class will be super talented. So um, why not punt? Because we feel really good about all these guys coming out in 27. Julian Sayin, Arch Manning, blah, 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 go over and over and over it. I get it. But it's funny when we went into this season as a Jet fan, and I ask a lot of you who are saying the thing about punting to 27, I want you to think back at the end of last year because there was a overwhelming consensus on this. I was in the camp of keeping Aaron Rodgers and finding a way to draft Jackson Dart. That's what I wanted. Now, they didn't do that, and I actually said it made sense to go get Fields. But the argument for that move at the time was Fields is still young. If he can develop into the franchise quarterback, awesome. If not, if he's terrible and the Jets are bad, we'll go get our quarterback in the draft because it's going to be a loaded draft class. Everybody was saying that. It literally, the same time, later than it is now, like at the end of last season when people were debating Aaron Rodgers, it was it was very, very simple. In fact, they were saying you don't need to draft Cam like Jackson Dart or people like that because next year's class is going to be fantastic. Everyone's assuming Arch is going to come out. Everyone's assuming Aller is going to be great. Everyone's assuming Sellers is going to be great. Nussmeier, Klubnik, all these guys. No different than the guys that people are getting excited about for next year. But, but it was an overwhelming majority of fans were like, hey, Seinfeld's cool. If he sucks, let's go get our quarterback. And now everyone's changed their mind and they go, oh, Fields sucked, but we don't really like this quarterback class. So the next quarterback class is generational. Let's move on to the next year. If you keep punting, I'm telling you guys, you're going to ride this hamster wheel forever. And Aaron Glenn won't survive after a third year. If the rookie quarterback's not generational in year three, and gets them to a winning record, he's not getting a year four. So to me, he's got a better shot by getting a quarterback now, whoever that might be. And again, you guys know, anyone who's followed me on this channel knows I have my preference. But I also am I'm also the guy that's reasonable and says Doesn't matter what I think. What does AG think? What does Muji think? What does Engstrand think? Like, if they have a guy that they think can be the guy and it's not the guy I love, I don't care. I'm going to support that guy. I'm going to be excited. I'm a Jet fan. Give me something to be excited about. A young rookie quarterback with a ceiling that could get us to being a really good football team. Cool. Jets have $100 million in cap room next year. Everyone's freaking out about draft picks. It's like, take a minute. Take a beat. You have no idea where the Jets are going to finish this season. You have no idea where Indianapolis are going to finish this season. The Jets are currently seventh, and everyone's going, well, I don't want to have to go from 7-1 and trade my first this year, my second first this year, and two firsts next year. If hold on, if the Jets had to give up 4 first round draft picks to go get a Mendoza, a Simpson, or a Moore, doing it either. But why do you think that's going to happen? Are the Jets going to magically be good in the next 4 games? Let's talk about who they're going to beat. Are they beating Jacksonville in Jacksonville? No, they're going to lose that game by at least, they probably lose that game by 2 touchdowns. Are they going to beat New Orleans in New Orleans? I mean, everyone going in 2 weeks ago was like, yeah, well, the Jets are going to beat Miami. They got their doors blown off against Miami. Tyler Shook just went into Tampa Bay and beat them, and he's had 2 other starts where he's thrown for well over 200 yards, and he looks like a developing quarterback. You think you're going into New Orleans after going to Jacksonville, so back-to-back road games in week 16 when you are now 3-11, you're going to go and beat New Orleans. I don't see it. Then then you have to play Buffalo and New England. Where are those wins? Both of those teams are going to need those wins. New England's battling for number one with Denver. Buffalo is in a mix with everybody else for positioning. The Jets are going to lose the last 4 games of the season. They're going to finish 3-14. That will not be the seventh pick in the draft. It is likely, very likely, that that will be inside the top 5. And okay, if Indy wants to hitch their wagon on 44-year-old Philip Rivers, who has 400 kids and hasn't played football in 5 years, to go and miraculously turn that season around. And I joked earlier saying, watch him win games. He might, but if we're looking at the schedule, even when Daniel Jones was healthy and was having a very strong season, you would look at the last 4 games and have a hard time picking more than one win for them. They have probably the hardest schedule left in football these last 4 games. So give them one win. Say they finished 9-8. If they finish 9-8 and out of the playoffs, that could be the number 15 pick in the draft. So all these mock drafts, I see them all over the place. All of these guys that are saying, I don't want to give up all this talent, I don't want to do this. Okay, pause, take a step back, and think. If the Jets finish 3-14 and they have a number 4 pick in the draft, as long as the Raiders don't have number 1, which is to me the biggest concern, forget about anything else. My number 1 concern is the Raiders. If the Jets finish 3-14 and have the 4th pick in the draft, and Indy is 15th, you don't think the 4th, the 15th, and a second rounder or third rounder next year gets you to 1? It does. It will, unless there's some crazy competition and maybe you got to add somebody else. I don't think you're going to have to do 3 number 1s. And there's a lot of people who go, well, I don't want to give all of that. Well, hold on, pause. If you move from 4-1 and get, let's, for the argument of the conversation, say Mendoza, and he's your guy, and their evaluation is right. Like, by the way, Muji's been right on a lot of his evaluation for all the guys that he's traded for this year. So let's be fair and say, hey, he's a good talent evaluator. He believes that Mendoza, not some fan who doesn't, who's just a fan, or anybody else who wants to argue with me about Mendoza being nothing more than a college quarterback. He determines that he's the guy. If he's right, he went from 4-1. He gave up the 15th pick in this draft. Okay. That's not the end of the world. Their second round pick, I think they have two second round picks this year. They're going to be able to get their wide receiver too. There's plenty of wide receiver talent. And they should probably go get a linebacker, okay? Or an edge in the second round. Next year, you would still have three ones. Like, and you have 100 million in cap room this year, and it's projected to 200 million in 2027. It won't be that, but you have plenty of opportunity to build this roster and not gut your draft picks. It's not like they're going to move from 9 to 1 and have to give up everything like Carolina did, which, by the way, was an overpay anyway. So, like, there's nuance to this argument. I say very clearly, I want to move up for quarterback, but there's a line at some point where you say, I can't do it. And that's fine. I just don't believe that somehow the Jets are going to go 2-2 their last four games, be the ninth pick in the draft, and basically have to punt on QB until round two, three, or four on some development quarterback. I just don't see that happening. I think the Jets are going to finish in the top five. If the Jets finish in the top five, if they finish in the top five, and the Indy pick is in the 15 range, they have everything they need to do to be able to move up to one as long as the Raiders don't finish at number one. Because I fully believe if the Raiders, and they are terrible, if the Raiders finish with the first pick in the draft, they're going for a quarterback. And so no matter what you offer them, they're gonna stick and pick just like Tennessee did last year. But what do you have to hope with the Raiders? I don't know. Have they said I don't know if they've said if Geno is playing or not. Um, the Raiders have probably two winnable games left in the season. Home against the Giants, and then home against Kansas City at the end of the season when there's nothing left to play for. That typical last game of the season, like the Jets have done year after year, where they win a meaningless game and it costs draft capital. Those are the types. And if Pete Carroll might be getting fired, maybe he doesn't care and he wants to win the game just to go out as a winner. You got to hope for some kind of crazy kooky thing like that. But really, I'm worried about them more than anything else. So we can debate whether they should or shouldn't make this crazy trade up, but that's not real right now. Like, you can't, the season ends and the Jets are seventh, eighth, or ninth. I might have a different perspective on what we would have to give up to get to one. And I know they're seventh today, but if you look at the teams that have to play each other still that are bad, if the Jets lose out, they're likely in the top four. And if they're in the top four, they really can do some damage moving up if they need to. And maintain a ton of draft capital, and they have a ton of cap space. And yeah, free agency is not a place where you need to go and like go get superstars. But look at what the Patriots did. The Patriots had their young quarterback. So I'm just gonna frame this for everybody. Drake May was a rookie last year. The Patriots were terrible. They won what, four games? They fired the head coach. They brought in Vrabel. They built the roster in free agency and draft. They went crazy this offseason in free agency, not just going out and getting superstars, building a depth team, a deep team. They're 11-2. Jets could be the same thing. If they get the quarterback right this year, maybe they win five, 6 games next year, 7 games next year. They're not going to win. They're not a playoff team anyway. I mean, unless the guy is Jaden Daniels, the next going to be Jaden Daniels, the Jets aren't going to be a playoff team in 2026. Own that. Live with that. But maybe they can be a good team by 27. So that's the argument to me. So anyway, I will do a Jets Jags preview probably Friday, and then a reaction video post game as well. Um, Hopefully we have some clarity on QB1 by the preview on Friday. But last thing I'll say to you is root how you choose to root. Nobody should ever attack anyone for how they choose to root. My entire life I've rooted for wins. I'm rooting for losses now. If that makes me a bad fan, I'm sorry. I disagree. I'm as passionate as anybody when it comes to this football team. I watch every minute of every game on every Sunday. I follow everything that goes on with this team. I watch college football and the quarterbacks and all these guys who could potentially help my team. I'm a good fan. I'm a dedicated fan. I just don't believe it matters to win a game or two right now and hurt your future opportunity. I also do not criticize anybody who is a fan of trying to win games either. Be a fan how you choose. Doesn't matter what we root for. Players are going to try to win. Coaches are going to try to win. The organization kind of told you what they're doing. They got rid of their best guys on defense. They're not stupid. They know they're not anything until they have a quarterback. Whether that's now, whether that's next year, time will tell. Just be a good fan. And I don't care if you're rooting for the losses or the wins. If you're a fan who cares about this team, then you're a good fan. That's it. Anyway, have a good one, guys.